Well, a very, very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a warm welcome to Round 7 of the SMRC eSports Racing Summer Championship. We are this week at Donington Park National for 10 minutes of qualifying and 10-minute races all through the evening. We've got 5 races coming up, 2 over PlayStation 4 and another 2 over the Xbox. So yeah, really looking forward to it. Joining me tonight is going to be, in just a couple of minutes, is going to be Tom Davis. You will hear from him very shortly. As soon as I'm able to actually get him on. In fact, by the magic of the power of Grayskull, good evening, Mr. Tom Davis.
Hello, I'm here. It's just like magic. I'm back. It's fantastic. It's amazing to be kind of back again. Took a couple of weeks, moved house in all the meantime, and it doesn't make a difference because we're at Donington in the virtual world, and I'm looking forward to this one, to say the least.
Yep, we certainly are, and it's going to be a fantastic evening ahead. Very good evening to Ace of J, to Andrew Gilman, to John Preedy, who is big on the Kieran Preedy hype train tonight. Tina Patterson shouting out good luck to her daughter Annie, and Aidan Wilson saying hello in chat as well. Now, the bad fortune of the PS4, Tom, has continued into qualifying tonight, because we had a pretty low grid for quota last time out, and we've got another poorer grid this time out here for the qualifying.
Yeah, it's a wee bit of a shame, but at the same time, it gives these guys a chance to race, get used to the circuit, so we should see some kind of gloves-off action here, with the only thing they need to watch out for not being disqualified. So I'm looking forward to it nonetheless.
It's a fairly low bar, isn't it? You know, just as long as you don't screw it up, you'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah, it is a case of that. It's just don't send it into the side of somebody into turn 1, and you'll probably be okay. And to be honest, that's not the worst world you can have. So, like I say, it does give the drivers a chance to race with far less pressure. Tom,
come on now. You've been watching this championship. You know that's a tall order for some of these guys and girls.
It could be. I've taken a couple of weeks break. I've still got faith. It's giving me a chance to rejuvenate, get ready for some clean but hard racing. That's what I've come here hoping for, and we'll see how I'm feeling after the first of the heats.
So the big thing is that I've had a bit of a move around the office, so everything is all changed and moved about. So the first thing we need to do is we need to check in with chat. So chat, if you can let us know, can you hear the engine noises? Now, I've had to kill it for me and for Tom, because I think that there was a little bit of blood trickling out our ears there, Tom. It was so loud this evening.
Very loud.
It was very loud. So yeah, guys, let us know if you can hear the engine noises. If not, then I'll make a change and it will be instantly on and very loud. But yeah, I mean, look, Tom, Donington Park tonight, right? So there we go. Give me a second, because Aidan's just said he can't hear any noises, right? So there's no engine noise. So again, all we have to do. There we go. Right.
Hey,
we'll just have to try and talk over it. It's fine, mate, honestly.
We'll start shouting.
I know, Ryan Smith and his noisy Janetta. So yeah, Donington Park. What's your thoughts on it tonight, Tom?
I love it. It's fantastic. We're actually getting to know this circuit a wee bit, because I'm going to be there in about 3 weeks, which I'm looking forward to. Craner curves are iconic. There's overtaking opportunities pretty much everywhere on the lap, and in particular, I'm a huge fan of Compass. I think it's massively underrated. Trying to get underneath people on the exit there, and it's so easy to get it wrong because it's deceivingly difficult, is how I describe that one. And if you've heard my commentary before, you know I like a deceivingly difficult corner. So I love the track. I think it's fantastic stalwart, and it's got a lot of history as well when I was looking into it, but I'm sure we'll get into that later.
Well, do you know what? I've just realised, and I've just remembered on Discord, I can actually turn you up, so we can drown out the sound of the wonderful GT4s, as it were. But yeah, look, we've got some really tight times going in just now, as we see Ryan Smith hanging it out sideways round the track here, 1:16. What sort of time do you think we're going to be doing tonight?
I think we should be able to get a little bit lower. I think high 115s could be possible if the guys are quick. It's very variable. It's a track that really does punish you if you've not practiced, to put it simply. But if you do practice, you get rewarded. It's like two sides of a coin. So we will be able to tell which drivers have gone, it's just a UK touring car track, it can't be that difficult, and which guys have gone, oh, hang on, this circuit is actually very, very hard.
I think actually what we'll do, if possible, is can we nip into the options here and we'll maybe turn it down from... Can we? No, we can't. Right, okay, so we'll do that in between rounds. We'll turn the engine volume. I think what it is that I set the settings all back to default, so it's fine. We'll deal with it. But I mean, it's a brilliant track and a very fast track. But when they come up to that final chicane, I think we're going to see a lot of incidents there.
Yes, I think that's somewhat inevitable. You see it all the time from professional drivers as well. The Roberts chicane is incredibly difficult. It's enticing because it is 90 degree in, 90 degree out. But everything that's ever been enticing in motor racing tends to result in incidents. Sometimes good ones, sometimes bad ones, but we'll wait and see.
Danger Will Robinson, that's exactly what we'll be talking about tonight. But we're watching Ryan Smith just now. In fact, let's go and we'll do an onboard lap. We've got 2.5 minutes left to go. And why not do it with our main man, Kieran Preedy. John Preedy saying that it's a cracking time, 1:15.918. It absolutely is. So as he comes out of Coppice, we'll go and have a little look. And actually, let's go on board then. Let's not go on board because that is way too loud. My goodness,
yes,
right.
So you come through the Robert chicane. This is the part of the track we were just talking about. You can see why there's going to be overtaking there. We'll get back to that one in a second. But this is the Wheat Cross straight. So you've got to position yourself, make sure you get maximum exit speed from that chicane, get over to the left-hand side. And then you can use a lot of this pit lane entry, as you can see. As long as 2 of your wheels are on the correct side of it, you're all good. Get it through this first corner at Redgate, then on the power, use all the runoffs as you open up the line into Hollywood. Yeah. Down the hill then, this part, crater curves. You'll know what this looks from outside, and if you've driven it, you know what it feels like as well. The road folds away from beneath the tyres, and you know that the car can take it flat. It's just a case of making sure that you do. Full hairpin, all about using the camber. Get round it, then you're already into the Schwantz curve, up the hill and into McLean's.
And McLean's is one of those corners where it actually goes on much longer than you think, Tom, doesn't it?
It does. It's at the top of a hill, so you actually can't see it. And you can say the same about Coppice here. So you get that first apex, but then it just keeps on coming around. There's actually a second apex there, which you use if you're taking somewhat of an overtaking line. And then you start to think about the chicane. Often you'll have the cars 2-3 abreast down here. It's just a case of how brave can you be? Where are you going to brake? We go right, not left. We're doing the national circuit. Clip the sausage on the entry. Make sure you don't touch it on the exit, else it will destabilize the car. And then you want to take the shortest distance to the line if you know that's your final lap. However, in the case of Preedy, he's going to take that racing line so as he can get another one in it. Just
awesome stuff. Thank you very much for that, Tom. A wonderful track here, and the iconic Starkey's Bridge and Old Hairpin. Just after the Craner curves, I think we're going to see mayhem ensuing later on tonight. Let's have a look at chat then. Andrew Gilman, he's got great pace around here, but he's been banished to the back of the grid tonight. You naughty boy. Somebody has been given a qualifying ban. We actually have several drivers who have got qualifying bans tonight. You'll see them in the next heat for PlayStation 4. Stuart Anderson and Thomas Comer. Thomas getting a hefty penalty and being excluded from qualifying there. Angus Scrivener in Heat 2 of the Xbox, and then Andrew Gilman in Heat 3 of the Xbox as well. They're all handed qualifying bans after last time out, and the drama, the fun and mayhem that was Circuit of the Americas. Now, Tom, what we've actually got to do is we've got to do a welfare check, buddy. We've got to make sure you're all in and settled and into your new place.
I'm all good. You told me that I'd be doing the internet wrong earlier, which I appreciate. I'll be fixing that up. But other than that, it's really nice. It's really nice. It's good to have a change of scene. I got a nice little room set up here, a couple monitors up on the desk, and as such, nowhere to put any paperwork if it comes along.
It's fine.
It's
Paperwork's overrated, mate. It's fine. Just very quickly, we'll take you through your top 6 then. It is Kieran Preedy on pole position from Kenny Brewster, and then it's Stuart Anderson in 3rd place, and then in 4th place, that's Kevin Barry that's in 3rd place. I've got no idea why I said that. Ryan Smith in 4th, we've got Glenn Alcock in 5th place, and then at the back of the grid, Dave Noonan in 6th place. Hold that thought, Tom, because we are going racing. Are you excited? It's good to have you back.
I'm so excited. It is good to be back. I'm looking forward to this one. First race, good set of heats, bunch of fast drivers as well. We know how good Kenneth Brewster is. So, yeah, this should be an exciting one.
And the thing is obviously we don't have to run these heats when there's less than 7 cars in, there's 7 cars qualifying. However, it's fun watching them destroy their own chances, I think.
Yeah, it's good fun to see them fight, and to be honest, it's also good for them because they get a chance to measure up their opponents on a brand new circuit. So these guys, they get through to the final, they'll already have raced against each other, and obviously it means that other people have raced against you as well, but you'll always take that little bit extra experience. Yeah,
certainly will. So heat number 7, round number 7 out of 8, our penultimate rounds. And we'll talk a little bit more about next time out, because we are about to go racing here at Donington. The lights are about to come on, the engine notes rise, and away we go. Great start for Kieran Preedy then, ahead of Kenny Brewster. And of course Kenny Brewster is going to have all the work to do for the championship. He's just got to qualify and just survive tonight, and it looks like Kevin Barry is going to try and not let that happen right now. Kieran Preedy's still out in the leads, and everyone is behaving fairly well, Tom.
It's a pretty good start. Everyone's very clean. There you go. Already a fight into develop. Ryan Smith looking down the inside for third place. That's going to become the outside, however. A little bit of late braking from Kevin Barry, and he'll manage to hold on to that position. And I'm impressed. They've all made it through, and you can see already a few gaps before him. We've essentially got a pair, and then a single car at the back. And it is going to be a case of can anybody keep up with the car that's at the front round here? Because although there's overtaking, as we mentioned, it is possible to try and break away.
We have such low expectations, don't we?
I don't know. I got middling expectations. I reckon we can stick with middling.
I want to say at least 1 car straight line the chicane here. I'm not going to be impressed if that's the case. But cracking little 5-car battle we've got going on. Kieran Preedy not being able to break away as much as I thought he would. Kenny Brewster obviously has the pace to keep him in tow, but then Kevin Barry just less than 3/10 of a second behind that as well as they come over the start-finish line here. This is a way better start to the race than I expected to see.
Yeah, they're all beginning to close up as well. And here comes Brewster down the inside into Redgate. Can he get it stopped? Just about, although his rival P2 back down the inside. They'll enter the crater curves neck and neck. They'll be able to look at each other out of these cockpits if they're using VR, and it's just about going to be Kieran Preedy, and Brewster actually has to take a moment to get defensive because Kevin Barry was taking a look up the inside, and that's the power of the slipstream. We're just seeing it down that back straight and then again on the pit straight. It closes all these cars up, and there's another little jostle for position. Third place now being contested as they come through the Schwantz curve. Side by side again. It's like watching a touring car race. It's fantastic. Brewster challenges to the outside going into Poppus. We saw this one if you watch the touring cars. Got to be careful there. Fantastic cutback, however. We mentioned the qualifying. It makes me look incredibly intelligent. He picked up the second apex. And already Preedy now coming under threat from car after car. That's Kevin Barry down the inside in that majority black car with the yellow little corners on that front fender. He'll get the lead or second place into the Robert chicane. Barry's going to fight back. He gets better exit, and he's again into P2. And all this is just helping Brewster. He'll be loving this trying to break away at the front. It's a 3-way battle for second place.
Yeah, this is absolutely intense stuff. Was going to Redgate for the second time of asking, and have a look at that, because look, Glenn Alcock just hanging on to the back of that group there. There were almost 3 wide as Ryan Smith got an amazing exit from Robert chicane there to start the new lap. But it means that Kieran Preedy drawn back into that fight with Ryan Smith now up into third place with Kevin Barry up in fourth. And Glenn Alcock, I've got to be honest, I'm really impressed with Glenn. That is mature driving. He's there, he's on the pace with them, but he's like, nope, I'm not having any of this, because he knows something is going to happen. These 3 drivers are not known for their patience and their temperament.
No, you can certainly say that again. He'll be just keeping his tires cool, making sure that he's in the right place, because this is like watching a junior Moto3 race, for example. It doesn't matter if you're in the lead of a battle until you get there's a car on the grass dropping back all the way. Kevin Barry's going to take advantage of that one. Glenn Alcock's going to try it as well. He bumped one exit from Roberts. That's Alcock in the grass on exit. He won't be too impressed with that one because he was just following the racing line. But all in all, he's ended up behind Ryan Smith and with a lot of work to do. So maybe he should have shown his hand a little bit earlier.
Well, wow, I don't know what to say about that. That was robust and then some for Glenn Alcock. But Ryan Smith, very lucky not to fall foul of the whole penalty system in Project Cars 2, which is very pernickety, shall we say, when the contact comes into mind. But what's catching my eye is Kenny Brewster now. That gap between him and Kieran Preedy, that's coming down now.
It was up at about 1.1 a lap ago, and as you mentioned, it's now hovering around about 7/10 as they come through McLean. So this is a pretty solid shift being put in by Kieran Preedy, and as he gets closer and closer, then we'll see the exact same thing we saw on the first lap, where the slipstream becomes more and more useful. Then they'll battle, and suddenly they've slowed each other down, and we've got a 5-way fight for the lead again.
I'm up for that. 5 minutes left to go in the race here. Race number 1 for the qualifying heats tonight on PlayStation 4 and Xbox. The penultimate rounds of the SMRC eSports Racing Summer Championship. It's David Christie here with Tom Davis, and we are having an absolute banger of a race right now as lap 5 and Kenny Brewster completely leads Kieran Preedy from Kevin Barry. All of the drivers about 7/10 of a second behind each other. We've got Kieran Preedy 7/10 behind Kenny Brewster, and then you've got Kevin Barry 7/10 behind that. Ryan Smith now, a little bit of daylight. He's in no man's land ahead of Glenn Alcock, and poor Dave Noonan just trying to circulate rounds. But that being said, he'll still qualify for Sunday.
Yeah, it's fantastic for anybody who's not in the fight. You kind of go, oh, I didn't quite have the pace, but I've got a few days to improve, I can work on it. And I know I wasn't too far off in terms of lap time. You look at the top 5 in this race, they're not separated by much at all in terms of lap time pace, so they'll all be pretty happy with that. Meanwhile, at the front, Preedy's got the gap to Brewster down to just half of a second, and as we mentioned, Kevin Barry's not too much further back, so he'll be ready the moment these two scrap, and I can assure you they will scrap. Then the third place man will be ready to pounce.
Yeah, he's just waiting there in the background, but yeah, hats off to Kenny Brewster. This is exactly what you need to do, and he's setting the championship position out very, very well, because let's have a talk about the points so far. Darrell Adams is second in the championship.
Brewster's way wide. Brewster way wide at Redgate. Both wheels off into the dirt. That's allowed both second and third to close up. Preedy looking around the outside the curves and then down into the inside of the whole car. He gets tapped from behind from Brewster, who then gets a tap from behind from the car in third position. And they're just about going to end up exactly how they started all, which is absolutely ridiculous to think about. Here comes second place once again. The Cobra himself goes for the lead. That might have been a slowdown penalty for Brewster. He looked very slow coming through the Schwantz curve. That came out of nowhere. A mistake from Brewster. He put in a fantastic third sector last time around, and then he's just thrown it all away. And somehow, I don't know how, but Kevin Barry's still not in the fight.
Yeah, and Kevin Barry actually was the real loser because he had the contact there on the back of Kenny Brewster, and that dropped him all the way back behind Ryan Smith. So Ryan Smith now up into third place. In fact, Kenny Brewster has got a time penalty right now. We'll get confirmation of what that is. Just a 1 second penalty just now. Look at this side by side coming down the street, and is Kenny Brewster going to have the inside line for turn number 1 into Redgate? Surely with 2 minutes left to go, that's going to be P1 then for Kenny Brewster. Hangs it out wide. Beautiful, beautiful move there.
Is brave from Brewster, because remember that's where he made the mistake last time, and it's not an easy move to hold on to because you do compromise your exit speed. So we come down the Craner curves. We're going to have 2 laps left of this race, and it's going to be a long 2 laps for Brewster because he knows he's got to fight, but more than that, he knows he needs to extend a second over somebody that was catching him for almost the entire race.
Well, what do you say to this? A minute and a half to go, and it could go absolutely any which way right now. We see Glenn Alcock dropping off the back of the group then. He's now 8 seconds behind, and it's really a 3-car scrap for the lead right now. Kenny Brewster leads Kieran Preedy from Ryan Smith. They're going to come across the line and start their final lap of the race. And yeah, I don't even want to call this right now.
Preedy's put in a good effort. He's got that gap down to just 3/10, and if it's 2/10 come Roberts on the final lap, you've got a solid chance of sending it down the inside, which is exactly what we were saying could cause incidents. However, it's all coming together for Brewster. He's just beginning to get Ryan Smith onto the back of this pack, and he's defended the inside well into Redgate. Sticks it on the apex, doesn't drift wide, and crucially just slows it down enough that you actually stop the car behind you getting the power down from getting that traction. As we mentioned, Ryan Smith now right there, and having been in fourth for most of this race in no man's land, he's down with a shot of the win, and you can bet he's going to try one on Preedy, and that's exactly what you're seeing. Brewster's just able to open it up a little bit. It's almost 4/10 now, so he's already found a 10th. He's only got 6 more to find, which, when you say that out loud, does sound quite difficult.
Yeah, this is going to go any which way. We really don't know how this is going to pan out. 16 seconds left on the clock. Just confirmation this will be their final lap of the race. It's just a qualifying race as we see Kenny Brewster put 2 wheels on the grass after McLean's. It's now in towards Coppice. And they've got 2 more turns, and that's a fantastic exit out from Ryan Smith. He's going to have the tow. But look at that, Kevin Barry also in the background. Are we going to see Ryan Smith making a late lunge up the inside? I don't think we are. Down into Robert chicane for the final time then is going to be Kenny Brewster taking the qualifying win there. 2nd place for Kieran Preedy, 3rd place. In fact, actually, I tell a lie, because of course Kenny Brewster had the 1 second penalty, so it turns out that Kieran Preedy wins the qualifying race.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Preedy. Fantastic. Ryan Smith will have known this as well. I don't think he went for the move, because if he sends it down the inside there, he's half a second back. They could easily lose half a second to Brewster, but with an aggressive block pass. So you remain second, so you might as well just not risk it, not receive any sort of penalties, progress with a very solid result.
Excellent, good stuff then. So that is our first race of the evening, and just confirmation, it's Kieran Preedy from Ryan Smith in 2nd place, Kenny Brewster in 3rd, Kevin Barry in 4th place, Glenn Alcott qualifying in 5th place, with Dave Noonan qualifying in 6th. So with that being said and done, I think what we're going to have is a very short break. We'll be back in 5 minutes with qualifying for our race number 2.
even want wasn't anything. Yeah, I could say that you didn't need any part of me. Yeah, maybe it's not me, you should be the one on your knees. So if we had another chance, I would never let you steal my
So a very warm welcome back then as we get ready for race number 2 here on round 7 of the SMRC eSports Racing Summer Championship qualifying at Donington Park National. And in this session we are again supposed to have 14 cars, but given that it's the tail end of the season, a lot of the drivers are just pulling out and you will find it's just the main ones in. So again we just have the 6 cars that have joined us, and again, you know, fingers crossed we'll get some more coming in. But Tom, you did see me inviting everyone, so you are my backup on this one.
Yeah, I'm witness. If you went into
witness.
court, I'd like storm open the door and be like, no, it's not right. You invited everybody. So yeah, it's exciting. But the noble thing here for me is that although there's 6 cars, only 4 of them should be qualifying as far as I'm aware. So it will be a sparse qualifying session, but we won't know the pace of a third of the field, which should make a big difference come the race.
Well, just to, again, it's just to clarify, it's the same situation as the first race. So everyone, as long as they finish, will qualify, because it's the 7 cars that we've got in the PS4. It's the way that we've done it through the season. We did have it similar in Xbox, but then we realised that the Xbox really can't handle any more than like 10 cars on track. It just decides to completely have a meltdown. Let's go and have a little look. So we've got Andy Sedgley, we've got Andrew McIlwright, I believe just there, yep, Andrew 1744. We have got that is Dan Adams, wee Daz 34. We've then got Thomas Comer, who let's just say, Tom, that he was on the receiving end of quite a few complaints.
Quite a few. A notable number.
I think the word we use here in Scotland is he got mauled by the steward.
Like the wine.
I'm going to keep
like
that.
Wine. Yeah, it should be an exciting session. I'm looking forward to it. What is notable is that suddenly we have two people. We used to have the we problem commonly in this episode.
Now we've got the and problem.
We've got and. So it has rotated. It's not become any easier. In fact, I just began to learn how to differentiate between the driving styles of the two we's, so we could spot it nice and quickly. And now we've got two ands. So they're not playing ball with us commentators. But we got Annie Butterworth. She's on a pretty solid lap at the moment. Looks clean, and we've seen this time and time again. The laps that look clean and smooth in these cars do tend to be the quicker ones. It's just their approaches to get a little bit sideways on the entrance to McLean's, but they're glorified go-karts. Yeah, it's a GT5s. It's why they're the base car for the Juniors Championship, because it is that sort of first step up. Low power, high grip. If you get sideways, you will slow it down, and you won't have the ability to get it moving again.
Well, 7 minutes left to go in qualifying, and I'm just trying to think. Right, I think Annie's obviously got a really, really good chance, but I'm also looking to the championship tables, because as it stands, in fact, let's just very quickly bring up the championship tables just now. You can see there Kenny Brewster on 193 points, Darrell Adams 145, Ryan Smith doing well on 143, Andrew McIlvride on 113. So Thomas Comer down there in 8th place. He's going to get some good points tonight, as is Annie Butterworth, because obviously automatically qualifying for the final on Sunday. But yeah, we shouldn't really be taking anything for granted right now, should we?
No, you should never really take anything for granted, to be honest, in motor racing. We've seen it time and time again.
How very sage.
Oh, this is going to be happening, and then and suddenly I look like an idiot. So yeah, all still on the table.
Right, let's have a look then. And Annie Butterworth, 1:15.481. My goodness.
That is ridiculously quick. I was talking earlier, I was like, you know what, if we see some high 115s, we'll be quite happy. That is potentially a low 115, it's below 15.5, but it's definitely middling, and anything in that range is ridiculous. It's put her 7 tenths up on the field at the moment. No, it's put her 0 tenths up on the field there, because Daz is doing exactly
unreal!
That.
I've never seen that.
That's ridiculous. You've managed to go around for 1.25 minutes, and you come out on the other side with the exact same time as your rival. It won't be the exact same in every corner, but somehow everything is leveled out. To put them, just 3 seconds up on everybody else at the moment. That should come down, but that is, well, you won't see that every day. Take a picture before somebody sets a quicker time. They do sound nice as well, these
Yeah, they do sound fantastic. I'm just actually having a look at the penalties here from a lot of the drivers. It's amazing how many times Thomas Comer's name comes up, and and of course I'm the poor person that has to go and record all of these. So yeah, it was fun times. But yeah, I mean, like 4.5 minutes left to go. Both the top drivers there, 1:15.481. It's very quiet actually. We've not had Ed Porter saying hello tonight. We usually get Ed's popping in here. So Ed, if you're out there, buddy, we miss you, man. But there we go. So Darrell Adams there, 1:15.320. So even faster still.
That is, yeah. That's honestly, this is like the Summer Esports Championship, but that is eSports quick. That is like, you could really, really get a job with that kind of pace if you could put it in every lap. That is remarkable. So credit where credit's due to Darrell Adams. He's earned that one, to say the least. I'm curious to see which of the ands is currently ahead, because we can't see. One of them's maybe struggling to actually put in a valid lap time, because 3 seconds off to me would seem like an intro lap, a warm-up lap as such. So Butterworth very sideways through the old hairpin, but
it's fine. It's fine.
How easily Brewster was given a penalty in the last race. He made a mistake, went deep, he was given 1 second. So you will see similar things in quality. Just in quality, you don't get time penalties. Your lap is just finished. You don't get the lap time. So I think that might be happening to the person in 4th place, because 3 seconds is a lot, even to a field as quick as this one, because 3rd place would have been on for a front row last time, I think.
Yeah, that sounds about right, but again, much closer, as we see Andrew McIlvride up into 3rd place, and then that must mean that Andy Sedgley is down in 4th. And Thomas Comer and Stuart Anderson, of course, are not able to take part in qualifying. They're actually excluded from qualifying as a result of their previous penalties.
Yeah, and you'd find it hard to argue with that. I was trying to think of a diplomatic way of putting it. You'd find it hard to argue. I think a grid penalty is a pretty solid way to do it. You know, they still get to start from the grid. It's not like it's a pit lane start, but you do have work to do if you want to get a solid result. And it's a good way that you can kind of let people know, hey, this isn't okay, but I'm not going to ruin your entire championship because of it.
That was very political. Well done, buddy. I'm quite proud of that one. 1:15.320 then is your fastest lap of the qualifying so far from Darrell Adams, second place at the moment. Joining him, oh my goodness me, Andrew McIlvright at the bottom of the Craner curves there. Oof, that's a bit of a Code Brown moment, isn't it?
Yeah, got it up on two wheels, had to correct the other way to make sure that they didn't roll, and then as a result ended up on the grass and had to save the slide before they spun it, and somehow got it all gathered up before they even reached the Swanch curve. Like, excuse me? That is very, very impressive car control. You maybe should put yourself in the position too often to practice that, but it is very impressive.
So I think that means that Andrew McIlvright's going to get 2 more laps in. And I just want to see Andy Sedgley as well. Andy Sedgley just starting the lap, so he definitely will get another 2 laps in here. As we see Annie Butterworth making her way down the bottom half of the circuit. I love this climb up through the after the first half here, as make the way up to towards McLean's. McLean's is such a difficult corner because you want to try and keep as much momentum, Tom, as you possibly can in that car, but it's very, very easy to swing the back end out of it.
Yeah, and that happens because you come over a crest. So initially you lose a little bit of grip on the front, and you kind of have to steer it into the corner a bit more. And then the rear wheels hit that just after you put on that steering lock. So then the rears lose the grip, the fronts grip up and try to steer you into the corner, and the rears just want to swing round. So you've got to have really clever car control, and crucially, have done lap after lap after lap, so you know where that point is, and you can remove the steering lock as soon as those rear wheels become a little bit floaty.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. Annie Butterworth goes crossline, improves 1:15.481, so closer still for Annie, and she is hunting. And I'm wondering if Darrell Adams is going to regret staying in pit lane now, because he's not going to be able to make any moves on this whatsoever. We're going to have Andrew McIlvright. He's on to a new lap as well. He'll get just across the line before the checkered flag flies down. Andy Sedgley starts his final lap. He's now just 2.4 seconds behind the group there, so time's starting to come down there. Oh, and Andrew McIlvright, that was 2 wheels. And
McIlvright, he's a fan of the sausage curbs, clearly, and now he's a fan of the pit lane. He's decided
Stick a fork in him, he's done. And so is Annie Butterworth. So we've now only got Andy Sedgley, so we'll have to enjoy this one.
Yeah, Sedgley, he will want to improve his time a little bit, or at least discover where he can find the time, because it's not going to make too much of a difference in qualifying unless you can put yourself ahead of the people in front, and that would be a big improvement. But just knowing where you can find it come the race, or being able to put these lap times in every single time in the race, because I don't think we'll see 15.3s for however long this race is. That would be very, very impressive. Sedgley comes out of Coppice down this back straight, which interestingly enough isn't visible from the comm box, so I'll have a good time when I'm down there in person. You then get into Roberts, turn it in a little bit late on turn-in, I'd say, which will cost you a little bit of speed because you can't get on the power onto this pitch straight. Gonna keep it nice and level. What's the time? Is it a little bit of improvement? I don't think it was.
I don't think so either.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Andy Sedgley 1:17.743. So Thomas Comer, Stuart Anderson missing out on qualifying, but it's going to be Darrell Adams alongside Annie Butterworth, Andrew McIlvright and Andy Sedgley, and then at the back of the grid it's going to be Thomas Comer and Stuart Anderson. Let's go racing, Tom.
I'm looking forward to this one. In particular, these guys coming from the back of the grid, I think it should be very exciting. Stuart Anderson in the black and red one, dead last, and then Thomas Comer in the white and red car. So
I'm scared,
keep an eye out for
Tom.
these guys.
I'm scared. Just very quickly, Cormac Patterson, listening to the commentary, and all he heard was you saying the words, he's a fan of the sausage curve, but he's a fan of the sausage, of course. Anyway, lights out, away we go. Stunning start from Annie Butterworth on second place of the grid, and she's alongside already as we go on the run down to Redgate for turn number 1. and they're almost side by side. Look at that though, Andy Sedgley as well. In fact, Annie Butterworth round the outside as she outbroke herself. She certainly has, and that is going to cost her potentially second place as well.
Yeah, McIlvride's taking a little look up the inside, but Butterworth did manage to get good drive. Slots in to second place as they come down the greener cars. Big move from McIlvride. McIlvride had huge oversteer and he's into the side. That was one of the cars from earlier that didn't get to qualify. Thomas Comer is off the road. That's Andrew McIlvride off as well. Oh, I don't think Comer will be too impressed with that. He got pulled for dirty driving last time, and now he's just been absolutely walloped into the Garhamble trap. Andy Sedgley, about 2 seconds off the pacing ball. He's suddenly up to third position. You're going to have to defend a little bit from the car of Stuart Anderson, but you'll be pretty happy with how this one's all played out. And at the front, it's not exactly spread out either. Andy Butterworth, not Andy Butterworth, too many Andys in this one already, is going to challenge Daryl down in towards the final chicane. Not quite close enough this time. They got a nice toe and a good exit from Roberts. You can very easily get an opportunity into turn one, but she's not managed to do it, actually dropping off by around about half a tenth come the line.
Wow, what a start to, what an opening lap to a qualifying race. This is just absolutely nuts. So it's Daryl Adams ahead of Annie Butterworth, and then it is Andy Sedgley ahead of Stuart Anderson, and Andy Sedgley goes very, very wide. Oh no! The car loses control, the back end swings out, and he gets absolutely nailed by Stuart Anderson, and that looked significantly like a little bit of afters from Andy Sedgley there. That's going to be very, very naughty, and that will not be appreciated by the clerks of the course there.
Yeah, Sedgley ran deep, tried to gather it up, get it back onto where you can get the traction, but Anderson was already on that part of track, and as a result, contact was inevitable. Coming back on the track though, not sure.
Annie's in the leads by 3 seconds over Daryl Adams.
That must have been a huge mistake from Daryl Adams. You don't lose 3 seconds. You don't even lose 3 seconds to a slowdown penalty. That is a big incident there. I can only think that whilst we were focused on the action through Redgate, maybe you went straight on at the old hairpin. That's the only place I can imagine you losing that much time and yet not be facing backwards.
Well, here we go then. 7.5 minutes left to go in the race, and Annie Butterworth currently leading from Daryl Adams. That gap is not coming down anytime soon. Stuart Anderson in third place. But have a look at this. Andy Sedgley ahead of Andrew McIlvride and Thomas Comer. That battle, I am scared. I am so scared. In fact, Annie's got a penalty. Let's see what she's got as a penalty there. 2 seconds. Oh, that makes things very interesting, Tom.
Oh yeah, and that would imply that maybe... Oh, also off the road now! Annie Butterworth did exactly what other people have done in this race. Touched the wheel off at the old hairpin, goes very deep, and Daryl Adams says, thank you very much. A little flash of the lights, I think, as well, as he comes through. He'll be well chuffed with that one. The rest of the field, 7 seconds behind him. Big rival for the race win, 1.8 with a penalty, so...
Daryl Adams, two of them have now got penalties, so the two of them have now got 2 second penalties, so yeah, this is... I'm not sure which way this race is going to go right now. Ryan Smith said that Daryl Adams is eSports quick. I would agree with you, but it's all about that consistency. Meanwhile, I'm not going to lie, I'm really scared as to how this battle is going to edge out here. Andy Sedgley just ahead of... Andrew McIlvride now gets the head of that group ahead of Thomas Comer, and Andy Sedgley right at the back.
Yeah, Togo Moko, Thomas Comer, he's coming through the field, start at the back, was involved in an incident, but has already picked off Andy Sedgley and is now trying to get up onto the back of McIlvride, who in turn's not too far off everybody else in this race apart from your leaders. So this one could yet go anyway in the midfield, but Daryl Adams looks like he's got it under control at the front, and Annie Butterworth, you could probably say the same for second place. Although Daryl Adams still pushing very hard through the old hairpin, getting a little bit of a drift on there. So if you're driving one of the F1 cars that would have come around here in the early days.
Yeah, I wouldn't be a big fan of that, I've got to be honest, despite all the changes to the circuit.
Yeah,
I'm caught in a little daydream there, and I'm thinking, no, I'm quite happy not doing that, thank you very much. But having looked back at Stuart Anderson, he's now just ahead of Andrew McIlvride. Andrew desperately hunting that third place for the finish just now, but Thomas Comer ahead of Andy Sedgley, and Thomas is dropping back quite a bit here.
Yeah, he's not managing to apply the pressure ahead, and if anything, he looks a little bit closer to Andy Sedgley than he was 1 lap ago, and there's still a long way to go in this race. 4 3/4 minutes left to run. We could see a change for third and for fifth. Darrell Adams suddenly has Annie Butterworth all over his tail. Butterworth definitely quicker through Redgate. They're already through Hollywood and down into the Craner Curves. 2-second penalties for each of them, so this is a battle on track, and Butterworth, she's pretty sensible. She knows not to go for the old hairpin from that far back, at least. Well, she might have gone a little bit deep. That'll at least cost her exit speed. It has indeed, but she kicked it on the road this time around, which is much better than both of these guys have done at times. Up through Schwantz curve and into McLean's. No opportunity there, and they both take that wide turn and actually both miss the apex, so they might be struggling with the front tyres here a little.
Yeah, I'm wondering that because of while there's no tyre wear, the tyres can still overheat very, very quickly. It's a very fast circuit, and it's very easy to do. Meanwhile, just behind them, Andrew McIlvright now just 0.2 of a second behind Stuart Anderson. So this is all coming to a head very, very quickly as well. But wow, I almost don't know where to look, Tom.
Well, right here, I would suggest, because McIlvright is all over the back of Stuart Anderson as they come on to complete yet another lap. Tucked into the slipstream. I don't think he's going to quite be close enough for a move for third position into Redgate. Well, he's definitely almost given a little bit of a nudge, and he was too quick.
2 wheels on the grass, his left 2 wheels touched the grass on the entry into Redgate, and you knew it was all downhill from there.
Got caught out, got massively caught out because of the slipstream, just carrying that extra bit of speed. And like you mentioned, just that means you're a little bit further up the track, and where you would normally turn in with the grass, you just put one wheel on it and it is game over. So suddenly McIlvright's looking at holding on to fourth from Thomas Comer instead of attacking for a place on the roster.
Yeah, Thomas Comer will be pushing that one, I would imagine. Darrell Adams still in the lead though. Very good evening to Josh McNabb, who joined us on chat. He'll be out in some of the later heats as well. But Annie Butterworth still in second place there, and we see Stuart Anderson trying to stretch away that gap, and I tell you what, Andrew McIlvright now really under pressure from Thomas Comer.
Yeah, Comer's pushing. You can see a car ahead, and that just gives you a little bit of hope. Suddenly you can, well, you could put it simply, you can see where you want to be. And as soon as you know that, you can go, oh, they seem like they could go a little bit quicker through there. How about I do? And that's half a tenth. And then, you know what, I can actually turn a little bit tighter. They weren't quite drifting it through that one. Oh, that's another tenth down there. And you can suddenly find out where you can be quicker than them.
I think you're absolutely spot on, Tom. I think you've caught that one way in advance. I think the tyres have gone for a lot of these cars. We saw Annie Butterworth losing a lot of time there, 3 seconds away from Darrell Adams, and that's way more than a slowdown penalty, and I think just overshot a corner potentially, the last one, the Roberts chicane. And,
yeah,
it's cost them dearly.
It'll be the front left. If you look at the turns on this track and the ones that are actually corners, you're talking Redgate, Craner Curves, Old Hairpin, McLean's Coppice, Roberts. Roberts is equal because you go right and then you go left. Notably, you're braking and turning right, so all the weight's on that front left tyre. The only other corner there that's actually left-hander is the Craner Curves. So everything else is stressing that front left tyre. Like you mentioned, it wouldn't be tyre wear that would be the issue on such a short race. It would be overheating. So not having tyre wear is irrelevant. They're still going to struggle with maintaining the grip in this tyre.
Yeah, spot on, spot on. So we start our final lap of the race, the final qualifying session for the PlayStations. Let's have a look. 2 second penalties for Darrell Adams, for Annie Butterworth, and for Andrew McIlvright there.
And that doesn't quite drop McIlvright behind Thomas Comer yet, I don't believe. It's going to be close come the line.
I think it does. It will, because look at that, that's just 1 second between those two.
Oh, it certainly will, yeah. Suddenly, corrupted tree, well, maybe a little bit of corrupted driving earlier on to receive those penalties. And he's just trying to stretch it a little bit. He's found 3/10 up the Craner Curves, but that might have been because he outbraked himself into the old hairpin and it's already back down again. He's lost that time. needs to just keep on pushing, keep on finding it, turning a little bit early, compensate for it. That's exactly what he's done there, drifting it through McLean's. That was pretty quick, pretty exciting, but completely and utterly matched by Thomas Comer. Gap is the exact same. He's only got 2 more corners left in this race. They're already through Coppice, and the gap is not yet high enough. However, Darrell Adams takes a well-earned victory. Those mistakes from both the front runners, but he had the speed all along. Fantastic qualifying and a well-deserved race. Annie Butterworth, fantastic P2. Here comes the fight. That's going to be a solid 3rd position for Stuart Anderson. 4th across the line is Andrew McIlvray, but he does drop behind Thomas Comer. So Thomas Comer, after a nightmare start, remember being knocked by Andrew McIlvray, will feel just a little bit of justice from that one. And Andrew Sedgley, last place across the line, but a solid race from him in terms of consistency.
He qualifies, that's all that matters. So there you go, Darrell Adams ahead of Annie Butterworth, Stuart Anderson in 3rd, Thomas Comer in 4th, Andrew McIlvray in 5th place, and Andy Sedgley in 6th. That is your final lineup for the final qualifying session of tonight for the PS4. Again, we will take a very short break, Tom, and we will be back for more action, this time for the Xbox.
I would never let you steal my glance. Bring me back to life. If we had another chance, I would never let you steal my glance. Bring me back to life.
Hello, and welcome back. It's just me. David will be back in a moment, I'm sure, but this means that we get Tom's Track Trivia. So our story this week of the history behind Donington begins way back in 1931, and I haven't had this much of a trouble finding out the history of a track since we were at Le Mans. It really is a bit crazy. So we start off, Fred Craner. He was an Isle of Man TT rider and secretary of the Derby and District Motor Club. He went up to the then owner of the Donington estate and said, hey, can we use some of these roads for racing? You don't seem to be using them yourself. And later on that year, the first race was held on Whit Monday for motorcycles using 3.5 kilometres of unsealed estate roads. So it was just public roads, dirt roads as well. But they managed to get a race done. In 1933, Craner obtains permission to build a permanent track costing £12,000, which at the time, of course, was a huge amount of money. The big differences here was that it was far wider than the original, and of course sealed as well. It is now a track, not just some roads. The first race there is held on 25th of March 1933, and after that there are plenty of pre-war Grand Prix and invitationals held here. And the track was even extended in 1934, adding the Melbourne hairpin. However, it didn't double back like it does now, so it made Redgate a left-hander. And in 35, it was extended again, putting the Melbourne hairpin in what is now the car park. It was a completely different layout at this stage. Of course, we then hit wartime, and the track is converted into a military vehicle depot, and it wasn't for almost half a century in the 70s until it would start working again. The circuit is bought by Tom Wheatcroft. He was a businessman in the building trade, and crucially, he grew up in Castle Donington whilst those pre-war Grand Prix were going on, so he had a real passion for racing. And in 77, the track reopens. Well, they did have to exploit a legal loophole because they didn't have a racing club yet, and as such, they didn't have the license to hold a car race meet, so they managed to hold what was essentially a test session where they were recording who was in front. And they got through it, but eventually, of course, they got the racing club set up and it all became very legitimate. In 1985, the Melbourne loop is re-added because it wasn't in the 70s version of the track, so that the motorcycle Grand Prix could be held there. Because previously, the track was considered too short because it was only what we're on right now, the national layout. You then move further on, 93, of course, the only post-war car Grand Prix held here, Senna winning by over 1 minute from Damon Hill. The most important part of that race, of course, being his miracle lap off the line. And if for whatever reason you've not seen that, go find it. It is incredible. Just Ayrton Senna, Donington, you will find exactly what you're looking for. Since the 90s, there's been lots of changes in ownership, nothing really that exciting, apart from 2010, where Donington formed a deal to host the British Grand Prix for the next 17 years. So we would still be having the British Grand Prix at Donington. However, the deal eventually fell through because Donington couldn't support the funding for it, because it fell through. They initially had it and then they didn't. It was all really complicated things. Crucially, there was a circuit drafted for this Grand Prix that included an infield section. So where we currently come onto the pitch straight, they would curve down the hill, back up again, and then rejoin to go down the Craner curves. However, there was still a track change that actually happened in 2010. The national circuit, up until this point, was coming all the way through to Goddard's. That's the final corner on the international one. They would then use that as the jink through, but now we use Roberts, and it's because that track actually partially existed from the original layouts in the 30s, so they just simply reconnected the old national layout so as they could use it in the new national layout. And now you can see why it gets so confusing, because everything has the same name in Donington's history. But that's just about it. At the moment, the big news and big races that go there, you got World Superbikes, British Superbikes and touring cars, also of course very, very popular, and then everything in between in the UK seems to end up at Donington at some stage. And for me, it's a great track, and I think it's no coincidence that it's being designed for motorbikes. It started with motorbikes, the big modification came with motorbikes, and you look at other great tracks, the one that stands out, Laguna Seca for me, also designed for motorbikes. So maybe we should do it more often, but it's producing some good racing this evening, and the guys just heading out on track at the moment, qualifying, getting underway, and hopefully we'll see some very, very exciting racing.
Tom, I am going to get you to fill for me more often. That was amazing, buddy. Thank you so much for that. That bought me so much more time than I ever imagined. But welcome to race number 1 for the Xbox qualifying heats, and I'm a little bit left scratching my head because we did have quite a few cars that were in the lobby and have now been disconnected. So Nicola Menzies, Ian did get disconnected. We have invited him, so we will have to try and get him into one of the later heats. So yeah, I'm not sure why that is. We had 6 cars in the lobby and 2 of them have disconnected. We've lost Stuart Winus and we've lost Ian Menzies as well, so yeah, not the best, but Xbox gonna Xbox, I would imagine.
Yeah, of course, there always seems to be something that manages to happen here, but still, it is higher stakes than we had in the PS4 races.
That's
only the
spot on,
3 qualified, and there's 4 guys in, so a quarter of them, which sounds like a big percentage when we hype it up like this, 25% of the drivers, they're going home, or to their virtual homes since they're already at their real home.
Tom, have you ever thought about a career in sales, my man?
I have, and then I decided that I wouldn't be very good at it.
you like having your soul.
Yes, I enjoy having my soul. Don't plan on selling it anytime soon, unless it was potentially to get a fancy steering wheel, because I haven't got one up here in St Andrews with me yet, and I would quite like to play some of this, to be honest.
So, Fanatec Thrustmaster, if you're Logitech, if you're listening, then let us know. Get in touch with Tom Davis and sort him out, and he will be your boy for the next few years.
Yeah, for the next infinite amount of time, you will own my soul. No, we'll get back to the on-track action, I think, because this is just getting more and more crazy. Somebody proposing that Fanatec are some sort of evil overlords, which, I mean, maybe they are, but at the moment, fantastic lap time from Aiden Wilson at the top of the screen. He's notably still a long way off of what we saw on that PS4. But if somebody came in, said a 16-0 in the first heat, I would have gone, you know what, that is very quick. I expect that to kind of stay there, or maybe a small improvement, but very respectable. But now suddenly, we're looking at 15.4s being the quickest time, and normally Aiden's right up there, so we'll see if he can improve.
Yeah, we certainly will, and I think Aiden Wilson's got a lot of pace in him. So it's, yeah.
In fact, goes into the pits this time around, quite interestingly. So maybe not thinking that John Duncan can find the time, and he finds it immediately. A 1:15.799 puts him just over a tenth up on the next guy to go quicker than Aiden Wilson. DK Wasp, of course, that John Glover. So suddenly Aiden came into the pits, and he's dropped 2 places immediately, so he'll be feeling a little bit hard done by. Get some fresh tires on it, head out once again, because starting third when there's only 4 people in, it doesn't feel quite so great.
So, let's have a look then. 3.5 minutes left to go, and JD Bear, John Duncan, straight up into the 115s. We've got John Glover, 115.9 as well. Now we're starting to see a little bit of the action happening.
Yeah, it's getting very, very close. Notably, DK Wasp and Aiden Wilson, they're very close together on the screens. It's hard to see because we see time to leader, of course, but they are very, very close. You'd struggle to get a piece of paper between those two. And notably, it's the 2 yellow cars up the front. We got the Wasp in a yellow car, which makes sense. But we've also got John Duncan, a yellow bear. I don't think that's a thing. You can tell me if I'm wrong. Maybe it's Winnie the Pooh. That's what we'll go with. Winnie the Pooh and the Wasp himself. They're looking pretty solid at the top of these screens, but a small gap like that, just over a tenth between all of the top 3 as intervals, there could still be a lot of change. And I think Chris Cherry has time to find as well. He might be in a similar situation where he can't set a valid lap at the moment for whatever reason, and the pressure does mount when that happens.
Yeah, it certainly does. This is going to be an interesting one, because there is actual stakes to play for here now, because we only get the 3 drivers qualifying, and unfortunately it does look like Chris Cherry 4 seconds off the pace. It's not looking good.
No, it's not looking great for that very nice livery, if I do say so. But yeah, and if we just stay with him for a moment here, it's not the fact that he's making many mistakes, which is the worrying bit. You come down the greener curves, he's a little bit tighter than we see a lot of people, so that might be an indication that it's a little bit less speed. Wide of apex at the bottom of the hairpin, there's nothing hugely wrong, it's just little bits here and there, and that'll be the worrying thing for Chris, the fact that he really does need to either get in amongst it down into turn 1 and force a hard move on somebody, or he needs to hope that one of the top 3 forces a hard move on somebody else in that set.
Yeah, and he's in a very, very difficult position. I think that he's going to be able to get the time down. He's certainly got a lot of pace here, so it could just be that he's needing to get the time in. With 1.5 minutes left to go, he's going to get one more lap here. I'm very curious to see what Chris Cherry can do here. Very late on the brakes into the chicane there.
Too late on the brakes into the chicane, completely missed the first apex. You can correct that. We do sometimes see overtakes for that sort of line where you just aim for the second one and hope that you get to that bit first, but on a quali lap, I'd be surprised if that doesn't cost him a lot of time.
I mean, you wouldn't get that from drivers such as, you know, the legend that is Cormac Patterson, would you? I mean, he just wouldn't make mistakes like that.
I genuinely thought you were going for somebody from British Touring Cars. I thought you were going Matt Neal, Jason Plato, and you came out with Cormac Passon, who, credit to him, fantastic esports driver, but not where I was expecting that conversation to go, as Cherry touches a wheel on the grass just before the old hairpin, and that's that lap on.
No, it's a trick question because Cormac Patterson wouldn't make the chicane. He just straight line and make a beeline straight for the bar that's round the corner from the hairpin there. But great lap there for Aidan Wilson, 1:15.6, and JD Baird does a lap there as well, 1:15.7. So we've now got the three cars within 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, fantastic lap from Wilson. He needed to pull one out just there, and he's done absolutely that. Suddenly the pressure is back onto John Duncan, and he's not handled it particularly well. Actually doing the exact same thing as we saw Chris Cherry do just a moment ago. Now it's all about John Glover. Can Glover make an improvement on his final little lap round?
No.
He's not far away from it, but he's now in the pits, so he is effectively as far away as you can get.
It's that hoarding at the left-hand side there that just got absolutely smashed there.
Yeah, not sure the advertising boards are doing what they're supposed to do there, just getting absolutely hammered by a Ginetta, but hey, gets you camera time, maybe it's worth it.
Yeah, and that's John Duncan. He's done and dusted. Look at him just weaving from side to side. He's a happy bunny. So, pole position then goes to Aidan Wilson. Second place to John Duncan. Third place to John Glover. And then in third place is Chris Cherry. Again, only the 4 cars that we've got in this first heat. Still only 3 places available. And we've got lots more heats to come. And Ian Menzies, we will try and get you back into the second heat where possible. It's a weird one. It's to do with the matchmaking on the Xbox connection, because it's only when the session starts that he gets kicked out. So yeah, fun times. There we go though. Confirmation that Aidan Wilson takes pole position ahead of John Duncan. John Glover in third place and Chris Cherry in fourth. Tom, what do you think we're going to see in this race?
I think we're going to see Aidan Wilson make a solid start. The big question is then, what about those 2 yellow cars? Are they going to settle, knowing that they only have to beat Chris Cherry? Or are they going to let past rivalries get in the way and get in a little bit of a squabble that could help out that white car? They get away. It's a fantastic start from Chris Cherry. Aidan Wilson makes a solid but bogs down a little bit. Chris Cherry from the back place on the grid leads into turn 1. He's having an absolute miracle drive. Senna, take that. You cannot make a better start. He's got a little bit deep though for Redgate. That allows Aidan Wilson back down the inside. He's already got John Duncan past him as well, but I think he'll be happy with that one. Even if he doesn't make it, that is by far the moment of the evening.
Oh, Chris Cherry, you absolute legend. So he gets himself to first, and then it's just straight back to last place after 3 corners. Wow, that is... surely that's got to be a jump start. There's no way that was legit. See if it is. Chris Cherry just won that race. Right. Back to centre heads prevailing right now, because it's Aidan Wilson from John Duncan, as we see John Glover has dropped off the back there as well. Now he's firmly in the danger of being caught by Chris Cherry there, so already we've got 2 separate races going on.
Yeah, the pack is definitely split, and I think John Duncan will be sensible enough to not really fight with Aidan Wilson. Aidan Wilson clearly has pretty similar pace to John Duncan, and when you're equal on overall speed across the lap, it's really hard to make a clean overtake, which in this case the overtake's not actually worth anything, so you would hope that we don't see anything silly. However, emphasis on that word there, the big H, because we have seen, well, silly things done in the past from the Xbox racers, so there could be action in this one yet. Not least due to the fact that Cherry's not being dropped off the back of 4th place. He doesn't have a penalty either. I didn't think I saw him move before the lights.
Well, he might have a drive-through penalty. We'll see in a minute. But if that stands, I tell you what, right, joking aside, if that stands, that is one of the greatest starts that we have seen, not just this season, but in all time from Project Cars 2. That was just absurd to go from 4th all the way through to first place there. I mean, hats off to him. If that stands, that was amazing stuff.
Yeah, if that stands, then everybody else in this paddock is going to be phoning up asking for lessons. John Duncan's done exactly what we said they would do earlier on in our track guide. Gets too wide at Coppice, touches a wheel on the grass, round he goes, Chris Cherry's coming, and suddenly Cherry's in a qualification spot once again. John Duncan 9 seconds back of where he previously was on a mistake that's so easy to make. We said deceivingly difficult. Coppice just keeps on tightening, it keeps on going on, and Duncan did not pay it the respect it deserves.
See, the problem I've got, right, is that obviously as commentators, Tom, we're supposed to be impartial, we're supposed to be straight down the middle, and yet there's this little voice inside of me that is screaming, absolutely screaming, go on Chris, go on lad, go on, you can do it.
It's difficult. I'm trying to resist.
John Duncan, though, I mean, he is supremely fast. He's already about a second and a half. It was 2 or 3 seconds, but he's going to catch very, very quickly. But it's whether or not Chris Cherry will be able to hold on to that place. And
I think it's more...
Chris still hasn't had a penalty, so that must mean it stands.
Yeah, ridiculous. If there's ever a highlight reel for this series, congratulations, you just got yourself a 10-second spot on it, because that was absolutely incredible. However, he's now got a yellow car of John Duncan up the inside of them. They come up the hill into Coppice, move already done. Cherry sticks a little nose in, has a sniff as to whether the inside's going to be available, but it turns out it wasn't. And now, John Duncan has to just not make another mistake, which is easier said than done, because remember Brewster in the last race went a little bit deep, got up on the curb, but then went deep a couple more times on that same lap, so Duncan has to be careful he doesn't do the same thing.
Yeah, just watching Chris Cherry there, he's fallen off a little bit from that, but your race leader, Ian Wilson, no issues for him whatsoever. 5 3/4 minutes left to go in the race, and he is out by a country mile ahead of John Glover there. John Glover doing a 1:18.1 last time round. John Duncan doing a 1:16.2. So John Duncan actually the fastest man on the track so far. Tell you what, John Duncan at this pace could take second place.
He could, but having already had a spin, I'm not sure he'll want to, is the simple thing. If he hadn't had a spin, or someone had hit him on the opening lap and he was kind of frustrated at somebody else and wanted to catch them and pass them, then I think he would try it. But knowing that it was an unforced error and that he was on the limit, I think he might just take a second and go, you know what? This is enough. I'm 7 seconds ahead of where I need to be in order to qualify. I can just stay here.
Yeah, the problem with that is that he might not have a choice in that. He's now just 3.3 seconds behind second place there, although that is dropping. I wonder if John got a wee bit of a slow down penalty there. But as it stands, 4 minutes left to go, and it's still Ian Wilson from John Glover, and then John Duncan in third place with Chris Cherry in fourth place. I'm going to keep an eye on Chris here, because this is going to be the last lap that he could go in for his drive-through penalty, and he's not got it, so that stands. That is one of the greatest starts that we've seen.
Yeah, he got it hooked up perfectly. Everybody else tended to either bog down as the lights went out or bog down in the second stage of the getaway. Chris Cherry did neither. He nailed it on the reaction time, got the perfect amount of drive so as the wheels didn't slip, but he got maximum power onto the road. And then on the first gear change, got it at the perfect time so as not to lose any of those revs, not to lose the torque. And when you put all that together, what was he, maybe 2 seconds quicker on the start than everybody else because he was starting that far back? It was remarkable.
Yeah, awesome stuff. And we're coming down to the tail end of this first race of the evening for the Xbox. It's Ian Wilson ahead of John Glover, and then John Duncan now just 2 seconds make that behind your second place man. Chris Cherry is doing Chris Cherry things away at the back of the grid there. 18 seconds now behind, and that gap now just 1.5 seconds between these two.
Yeah, Cherry went for a little bit of picnic, but the gap is coming down. It's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out, because 3 minutes 20 seconds, it's come down a little bit, but if you're going to catch, it's going to be near the end of the race, and you would hope that these cars wouldn't try anything too silly. As we wait to see how it plays out, I have got a little bit of a question for you though, David.
Just before you've got that question, can you imagine if these two have contact? Chris Cherry goes through into second place.
It would have to be big contact, because Cherry's, 11 seconds off the back of this battle, so big contact. But if it did happen, I might jump up and give a little cheer, and a very impartial cheer. I'll give a very impartial, that was a good race cheer if Chris Cherry manages to get through this one. But here's the question. Who do you think, or crucially what, because you will not know the person, but what car do you think holds the lap record around Donington National?
Oh, Donington National. That's a very, very good question.
Tell you what, whilst you think, we're going to have
give
to
me a
actually
clue.
return. John Duncan is right onto the back. He actually is going to take a little bit of a look into the Robert chicane. Doesn't quite work out, however, closing all the time on the brakes. Glover's under huge pressure, and John Duncan's going to try it around the outside. That was incredible from John Duncan. Turns out he can make an overtake because he's got tons more pace in one particular part of the track, and I'd be surprised if Glover can actually fight that. That was very impressive.
That was an awesome move there, and yeah, I think John Duncan's going to streak away with this one. Right, your fastest car round Donington. You're going to have to give me a clue here.
Well, think about all the cars that would use Donington National,
right,
and then go the exact opposite end of the spectrum.
Citroen C1?
No. Maybe you will.
Surely it's got to be a Formula 1 car.
Yes, it is a Formula 1 car.
However, given they haven't raced recently though at Donington.
No, they only did it once. They did it in the 90s, and they of course used the Grand Prix circuit. So something you've got to ask yourself.
Of course, so that's not going to be them then.
Well, it wasn't in the Grand Prix.
Right, okay, go on then. You're obviously dying to tell.
So, I'm so excited for this. It was the Benetton B197, which was the 1997 car, I believe, for Benetton. In 2011, when it competed in the Boss GP, Boss standing for Big Open Single Seaters, which is a series that goes around the world on various tracks that have been used for Grand Prix, and they just race Formula 1 cars from pretty much the 90s onwards. And it is ridiculous. If you haven't seen it, go and find a video of it. It's incredible. But yeah, that's how a Benetton F1 car has the lap record on the National Donington circuit.
Nice. That is what you want. One man setting records of his own is Aidan Wilson, currently down in 8th place in the championship, but leading qualifying right now ahead of John Duncan and John Glover as well. John Duncan and John Glover coincidentally just behind him in the championship. They're 11th and 12th place, but this is going to be the final lap here out of Coppice for your race leader. It's been a flawless performance for Aidan Wilson. He's had some real ups and downs this season, and he'll be delighted to get back onto the horse down the straight for the final time in towards the Robert chicane. And it's a fantastic display from start to finish for Aidan Wilson as he goes across the line to take the race win there. Second place, 9 seconds behind, is going to be John Duncan. A stunning comeback drive after an earlier unforced error from John Duncan, and he's back up into second place. John Glover into third. And really, we've got to turn our eyes to this man because he's been coming on in leaps and bounds through the season, Tom. But, well, let's just ignore that final corner. I'm trying to talk you up, Chris Cherry, here, and you go and ruin it, mate. What a start. What an unbelievable start for Chris Cherry. Comes across line in 4th place. And that is us for just now. There you go. Aidan Wilson, John Duncan and John Glover are your qualifiers for Sunday. We'll take a very, very short break and we'll be back with race number 2.
maybe I was wrong, even want wasn't anything. Yeah, I could say that you didn't need any part of me. Yeah, maybe it's not me, you should be the one on your knees. So if we had another chance, I would never let you steal my
Welcome back. No, Carol Walker, the stream has not frozen. We had to take a very, very quick break because we were having some problems getting the guys in. Shock horror on the Xbox. So we've got it. We've got the cars back in, and we've got 5 out of the 9 that were due to come in. So yeah, good stuff. Tom, how are you? Because it's been quite a lengthy delay there.
Yeah, it's been a wee bit of a delay. We're trying our best. We're getting as many cars in these as we can. Interestingly, I don't think these connections are just limited to Project Cars 2 on the Xbox. I've heard problems with the Assetto Corsa as well this week, so it might be a little bit worse this week than it has been previously. We do apologise, of course, but 5 cars, still more than last time, so we've got to be kind of happy with that one. Now, only 60% of the guys are going to qualify, so we can make it sound really dramatic for you guys at home. I'm looking forward to see how this one plays out. There's a few big players, in particular James Black. I do really want to see how he manages to get on. And Cameron Evans does tend to impress. So there should be a fight at the top, and there should also be a pretty even spread across the field. Westy V8, that is, of course, Callum Reid just coming down the Craner curve, struggling a little bit with understeer there, but he does manage to get over to the correct side of the track to get the turn in for the old hairpin. Reasonable line through there, although potentially not using as much of the runoff as was available to him. And you come up through the Schwantz curve, and you might see a couple moves in here in the race. We've not seen them yet, but it is possible to get alongside through that one. Aggressive turning, gets a little bit squirrely, but has it all sorted out by the time it gets to the apex. Almost a Michael Schumacher-esque driving style there, where you just throw the front in and deal with the rear once it becomes a problem. A nice line through Coppice, and already you're coming down this back straight, lining up for Roberts. Just keep it nice and in line. Don't focus too much on what's going on right now. You've got to be prepared for where you find your braking spot. Brakes right on that white line, interestingly, which I believe is the safety car line. And then they're around through the final chicane. What is it going to be for Callum Reid on the first time around? It's a solid lap. Puts him 4/10 of James Black up at the top and just ahead of Cameron Evans, but just ahead. In fact, a little bit of a mystery because I didn't see the 14 there, so that must have been an outlap for Presto.
Oh, you got to love it. You got to love it. Right, Cameron Evans on pole position there, really setting the gauntlet. 1:15.520.
That's an impressive time. As we said at the beginning, you're looking at, initially we were talking high 15s, now we're talking mid 15s because of how quick these guys are as they progress through the season, and that is truly good. And notably, it's a huge gap in this heat. Previous heats that would have put you potentially third in a couple of them, but right now, almost 1.5 seconds up on the field, and you'll be pretty happy with that margin because it's a lot to ask of your opponents for them to find that much.
Yeah, certainly is. 6 minutes left to go in the session. James Black as well. Let's take a quick look again at the leaderboard just to remind ourselves of how the drivers stack up. Tony Logie and Josh McNabb out in action in the next heat. But Cameron Evans and James Black in this one. So again, super important for Cameron Evans and for James Black to qualify for the weekend.
Yeah, very important. We obviously, points aren't available this time, but you don't get the opportunity to challenge for points if you mess up right now. So there's a reasonable argument that like 50% of your final point score comes from right now. So you still have the work to do to determine what it is, but it's like getting a spare in bowling. I think that's how 10-pin bowling works. You kind of bank it and you get a chance to up on what it is later on in the week.
See, you're not just a motor racing expert, but 10-pin bowling as well.
Well, I don't know. I'm sure someone will tell me that's completely wrong. But I'm trying.
You're a man of many talents, aren't you?
A man of too much time, I think, is the phrase.
I like the thought you put into that one. We're watching James Black here, who's looking very, very fast right now. Just half a second behind your current pole sitter, Cameron Evans. He's on the run down towards the final chicane just now. 4.5 minutes left to go. You can see the car squirreling about, weaving about, under braking. That's a fantastic exit from the corner. A little bit oversteer. The car wants to snap away to the left, but he corrects it very, very nicely. Goes across the line. 1:15.849. So it's fast, but it's not quite enough to catch up with Cameron Evans. And Cameron Evans did look to just go straight on there. So he obviously aborted the lap.
Yes, Cameron Evans won't be improving this time around, but fortunately he doesn't need to because Black has improved and he's still off the pace of the leader by what you'd normally consider quite a considerable amount. Now, he's improved a lot on how far away he was before he set that lap time, but 3.3 tenths, it's not easy to find that.
It certainly isn't. Meanwhile, it's Westy V8 doing a fantastic job there. Callum Reed's into third place there, just a second and a bit behind your leading two cars there. So he's really in with the shout tonight as well. Scott Anderson is Telly Deluxe, and he is down in fourth place as well. And as I was wondering there, because Angus Scrivener in pit lane, but he has a exclusion from qualifying, so we will not see him out on track for qualifying.
No, and he's doing the correct thing and just serving that right now. And you never know, he might get a Chris Cherry start off the line. He might manage to do a Cherry, because we've seen that it's possible to lead into turn one. Now, Cherry didn't manage to lead out of turn one, but it is definitely doable, and it's a case of, will we see that repeated?
James Black there, very gradually increasing on that lap time. That's now down to a 1:15.625, just 1/10 of a second behind Cameron Evans, and he's looking very smooth, very calm and collected. Oh my goodness me, Tokyo drifts round that corner, and look at the speed that he just took round there. How, Tom, did he just manage that?
I don't know. I could have managed that, that's for sure. He managed to get the drift on, and yet somehow carried through the corner. Now, to me, that looks as if he's backed out.
Yeah, he has.
So he did manage to lose a little bit of time, but if that was to come up in the race, you would be very happy with how you coped up with that one.
Wild stuff, wild stuff. So, and again, Cameron Evans doing the same, just kicks the car out and powers his way through that corner. I wonder if that's the faster way in these cars, just to drop a gear and to fire it round the corner there.
I am very doubtful of that. What I think has happened is that Cameron Evans is listening along and doesn't want to be outdone. I very much doubt that it is in fact quicker to throw it round like that. Now, a little bit of four-wheel drifting, that can be good. That used to happen in the old Formula 1 cars, remember? And it is possible in low downforce cars to get that kind of effect, but throwing it round into that big of, like you mentioned, a Tokyo drift, something out of Fast and Furious, that is probably not quicker.
128 there for James Black. So yeah, definitely not faster by any sense of the imagination. What is Cameron Evans going to do? Comes across the line and he does a 1:16. Right, so that has completely thrown that out the window, because he did a 1:16 that last lap round there, and he did that whole power slide round the corner.
Yeah, he did a 1:16, but his time to beat is a 15.5, so he's still probably lost, if we assume the rest of the lap was perfect, half a second. Being a bit more realistic about it, maybe 3-4 tenths as a result of that. And it's not something you're uncomfortable losing, but you'd rather not, particularly given that the gap to Black has just come down to only 1/10 of a second.
Yeah, and James Black looking very, very fast in that car right now, so he's looking very happy. Who have we got behind him? I think that is, Westy.
It's Callum Reed, yeah.
So James Black going to get one more lap in here. Oh, and he's nailed that chicane. That's much better. No oversteer there. And this is looking very, very fast for James Black. Goes across line. Oh, it's just 600ths of a second now. The gap to your race leader, pole sitter right now. 1:15.520 I'm talking absolute nonsense, because I was looking at it and I saw the time change.
Evans goes faster. Evans improves by about exactly a tenth.
I wasn't talking
nonsense. And is now 500ths up on James Black. We thought that Black had maybe pinched it to death, and Evans says, "No, thank you. I'll have that back."
No, it was the opposite. I didn't see that James had went to pole position, but I saw the time had changed, so I was commenting on the time changing. But then I realised, and I was like, "Oh, I'm talking nonsense," when I saw James was on pole, and then Cameron goes and sets the gap to exactly that anyway.
Yeah, wow. You would be better off not correcting yourself.
It's fine, it's fine. Just hold the hands up. It's all good. But what a lap there from Cameron Evans and from James Black to pull that out right at the last gasp. Amazing, amazing stuff.
Yeah, they've got to be careful though, because the guys behind them are still on laps. I think Callum Reed in particular looks as if he was really pushing, and I'm not too sure about Scott Anderson. We've not seen too much of him. He's definitely pushing, actually. You don't go that fast through Coppice without having something on the line. So here comes Reed. exits the final chicane. What's it going to be? He's definitely got a tight exit line. And it doesn't look to be an improvement for Reed. Our attention, of course, now turns to Anderson as he enters the Robert chicane. A little bit wide of apex on the first one, but manages to carry the speed. This could be an improvement if the rest of the lap matches up to how good the final couple of corners are. What was it for Scott Anderson?
Oh, left to wait and find out.
Not enough.
No. All that waiting for nothing. Goodness.
I know,
right.
held my breath as well.
Cameron Evans from James Black on the road 1. It's going to be Westy V8, Callum Reid alongside Scott Anderson, and then Angus Scrivener at the back of the grid like the naughty boy that he is. So the usual explanation needs to go because we're having connection problems with the Xbox. If the race disconnects before 2.5 minutes, it will be a restart. That's what we've done all through the season. But we will take notes of the positions and hopefully avoid a restart where we go. Top 3 qualify, race number 2. Are you excited, Tom?
I can't wait. Can Cameron Evans get it away from pole, or will we see a fantastic start? It is a good start from James Black. He definitely got the car away better. He's going to be alongside Cameron Evans on the run down to turn 1, but he's going to be on the outside. So he won't get the move done at the apex, but he might be able to get a run down the Craner curves. It's pretty clean just behind them. Angus Scrivener already making up 1 place past Scott Anderson, and then they descend. Is anybody brave enough to try something into the old hairpin? Cameron Evans, defensive enough, just runs it through the middle of the road at the second part of those curves. And just behind him, that's Scott Anderson. That's Angus Scrivener taking a look. He's already over the back of Callum Reid. Although Callum Reid managed to get a good run out of the hairpin, so he's managed to find a little bit more time. And at the front is where the gap is smallest once again. Cameron Evans, not defensive yet, but he might have to be into Coppers, because James Black takes a little peek at the inside, decides that he's not going to get him on entry. Can he get a little bit of a better exit? Indeed he can. Cameron got a little bit of a slide on there. Those rear tyres potentially not up to temperature at this early stage, and he's lost out. Classic touring car maneuver, as we see the attacking car on the inside, on the run down to the Robert chicane. How late can James Black brake? Not quite late enough. And as a result, Cameron Evans holds onto it, and I get a mouthful of weird consonants.
That was, I'm thoroughly impressed with that, Tom. That was awesome. Well done, mate. Right, lap number 2 then. It's still Cameron Evans from James Black ahead of Callum Reid and Angus Scrivener. It's a 4-car melee for the lead right now. And look at that. That looks like Angus Scrivener is going to try and take the inside. It's never going to work down Craner curves. But look at that. That is Callum Reid fighting it out with James Black. Oh, there's contact almost.
Definite little touch there, but everybody holds it together. They're not quite close enough, and that was a little bit of a deep run there from Angus Scrivener, so he might come under pressure as they run it back up the hill once again. It's not going to happen. In fact, James Black, he's just managed to gap the cars behind. He was definitely under pressure before, and they're very, very deep from Scrivener in that aqua and silver car. He just loses the opportunity to attack Callum Reid as they come through. And remember, this is for qualification. Top 3 go through, and at the moment, Scrivener not managed to make up enough places to qualify.
Yeah, it's all going to unfold in the next 7.5 minutes as we go to start lap number 3, and all eyes are going to be on Angus Scrivener because his patience and his integrity are going to be called into question right now because he's got Callum Reid. He's going to feel that he can quite easily take him on pace, but it's if he can do that in a safe and controlled manner. That is what's going to matter over the next couple of laps. And in fact, he's dropping down a little bit even further. Oh, and they're side by side. Let's go and watch the action here. And Angus Scrivener takes 3rd place. So no sooner than we've said it, he's gone and made it happen.
Yeah, and I can tell you exactly what's happened there. The front 2 last time around used a very unorthodox line. They've figured out exactly where the track limits are, and they ran it all the way into the pit exit to make sure that they can open up turn 1. This time around, positions 3 and 4 tried to mimic that. Your now 3rd place runner, Angus Scrivener, nailed it. He got it perfect. Callum Reid didn't quite get the new line correct on the first attempt. As a result, ran deep and the opportunity presented itself.
Wow, what a scrap we've got going on here for the race lead then. Cameron Evans under all sorts of pressure right now from James Black, and this is going to come to a head very, very quickly as James Black moves over to the right-hand side there and goes on to the grass, his left-hand side. And very sensibly thinks better of it. I've got no idea what that was about.
Yeah, potentially just looking for a little bit of a sighting for the break point, potentially. The grass is always greener on the other side, they say, but it certainly is going to be now, as it's all torn up into mud where that Jeanetta's run over it, but it's not cost Black any particular time, and that's the crucial thing to note here. He's stayed within an attacking range, and one mistake from Evans, and that green car is going to be finding a way through, and already Callum Reid's challenging back once again. He knows that he lost out because of a mistake, but he wants to make up for it. He wants to find a way through. There's that middle-of-the-road line from Angus Scrivener. Just prevents that opening on the inside down towards the old hairpin, and he's got a much better exit than Callum Reid, and that should help him consolidate this place. As there's been a change for the lead, Cameron Evans, that looked like a slowdown penalty to me. Either that or a huge mistake coming out of the old hairpin. Had no speed going up through the Schwantz curve.
Yeah, he's just slowed down again. You heard it there, he obviously didn't get rid of it, slowed down again, and that's put him 2 seconds behind your race leader, Tom. Excellent spot there. So yeah, that is a huge disaster for Cameron Evans, and that allows James Black to get along. But more importantly, that now puts Cameron Evans into touching distance of Angus Scrivener.
Yeah, and Evans will be aware of this because Scrivener is on about the same sort of pace as Westy VA, Callum Reid behind him. So if he gets caught out by Scrivener, then they could easily all be in threat of falling out of qualification. So Evans needs to just kind of maintain this gap to the cars behind in order to stay safe from relegation. Yeah,
huge couple of minutes coming up right now. You're watching qualifying heat number 2 for the Xbox racers. This is the SMRC eSports Racing Summer Championship. We're on the penultimate round ahead of Sunday's final, and it's currently James Black 1.7 seconds ahead of Cameron Evans, and that gap is coming down right now. So what has happened to James Black? Has he had a slowdown penalty? Because that gap is now down to about 1.4 seconds, Tom.
Yeah, it does just keep coming down as well, which is notable. So that, to me, might just be Evans pushing particularly hard. It's not like we went through a braking zone and then it stabilised. It is still coming down. We are seeing a tenth here, half a tenth there, and all in all, that's what, 4 or 5 tenths over the past 3 corners? And that is an enraged Cameron Evans. I think that's what that is. He feels as if the penalty wasn't his fault, and now he wants to make up for it and win the race anyway. Say, hey, look, this is how much better I am than you. I can make the mistakes, and I'm still going to beat you to the line.
Comes across the line then, James. Hang on, James Black did a 1:16.9, so yeah, that was a slower lap. But Cameron Evans 1:15.5. That is qualifying pace right now. So Tom, again, you've called it absolutely spot on the money there. He is furious right now. He is enraged in that Jeanetta G40, and he's got Angus Scrivener coming along to join the party as well. And at the moment, Callum Reid's being dropped right now. So, you know, barring some sort of contact between these three, this is looking like a done deal right now.
Yeah, and that's exactly it, barring some sort of concert. Because Evans was closing, he was really pushing, and now suddenly he's falling back a little bit as well, which implies that now James Black is pushing very hard to try and stabilise the gap. And you can see that because he's just touched the curb exiting McLean's there. So these guys are on the limit during the race when they really don't need to be. So I genuinely would not be surprised if we saw an unforced error from one of these guys at this stage. This suddenly matters a lot more to them than it does to the championship.
Yeah, it all comes down to this because, of course, qualifying, I guess they're maybe thinking of the championship as well, and they want to kind of get the mind games over a rival, potentially. I mean, the pace that these two have got, 1:15.621 from Cameron Evans as well. They move to the outside, tries to get the long way round turn 1, and that's going to be super defensive from James Black, and he's going to hang him round the outside of the Craner curves there.
He should just be able to slot in as well, but he's going to have to do it soon before Cameron Evans gets the overlap, and he just about manages it. Because if Evans had the overlap there on the inside, it's very hard to run it around the outside of the Craner curves. Black, defensive again, into the old hairpin. Just about manages it, but he runs deep, compromises some extra speed, and there's the overlap. Evans on the outside, Ashley Sutton style, as they come through the Schwantz curve. He's going to run it all the way up, and now he gains the inside up at McLean's. Just needs to brake normally, follow the normal line, but he's not managed to do that. Black now has the overlap on the inside as they head up towards Coppice. He'll have the racing line, he'll have the high ground as such, and the physical high ground as this corner goes on opposite camber, and that's drifted Black out once again, giving Cameron Evans the lead as they all run down towards Roberts. Slipstream for Black. Will he have the opportunity to try it on the brakes? The gap's there if he wants it, but he thinks better of it. Slots in behind and maybe thinks, whoa, that got a little bit too much. Let's just make sure we qualify here.
Wow, that is some of the most intense door-to-door racing we have seen for quite a few rounds there, as we see James Black still trying to get on the inside of that first corner. And I wonder, I think there was two wheels on the grass for Cameron Evans. He managed to survive it, both cars doing 116s that last time by, and this is going to be the final lap then, this time of Askin. Cameron Evans ahead of James Black, and they're going down in towards the second half of the corner. Oh, and it goes wide! Cameron Evans has just cost himself the race lead. James Black jumps in after an unforced error. That's exactly what you were saying there, Tom. And Cameron has to keep it cool, has to keep calm, because he's now got Angus Scrivener right on his tail.
Yes, exactly that. Evans will be wanting to try and push to make up the time, because we saw that's what he did before. But really, 8 tenths and 3 turns is not enough time to find that time. So he just needs to hold on and make sure that he doesn't make another mistake. So if he does, he'll be dropping down even further places, and that won't do your scary reputation any good. James Black, he's going to enter the final corner. Evans is pushing incredibly hard. He brakes so late. It turns out he braked absolutely perfect, but it's not going to be enough. James Black takes it on consistency from Cameron Evans. He had the pace, but he also made a few mistakes, and that was costly. Angus Scrivener from the back of the grid takes the third and final qualification spot in Westy V8 Callum Reid. He'll be a little bit disappointed with that one, but he's definitely enjoyed it as he drifted his way across the line.
Fantastic stuff. An excellent qualifying win there for James Black ahead of Cameron Evans, and Angus Scrivener are your three that join our previous three into the final. We'll take a very short break and we'll be back for qualifying race number 3. So we are back for the final time of the evening, and Tom, yeah, this is looking mighty good, isn't it?
It is looking. We've finally got a full race as such. More riders.
Oh, Tom, hang on to that thought. You know I wouldn't interrupt unless it was mightily important. Tony Logie has just had a power cut in his area and currently waiting on his internet turning back on.
That's huge.
That's huge. Right, so the good news is, Tony, you should have an invite still waiting for you. As long as you're in before 3 minutes to go in the qualifying, you should be good to go. Obviously, with Stuart Wyness and with who else was it? One of the other drivers.
Ian Mingus.
Ian Mingus. We were able to offer them invites into later sessions because there was space, and obviously there was later heats, but there's no heat after this, so this could have massive implications for the championship. But let's concentrate on who we do have here, and I feel like, you know, we should have a fanfare any time that we have this on screen, Tom. The royalty, His Highness that is Cormac Patterson on screen.
Care to explain to me why we are suddenly referring to him as Your Highness?
He's always a good banter in the chat in the other races, so we like to build him up and put all that pressure on his shoulders. So
as I'd say,
he always promises these amazing lap times, and once out of the 6 races so far, he's been able to deliver.
I do remember the once though; it was pretty impressive. Inclining skate, not any lap times coming in. This should be the first flying lap for this car, and I do like that livery. Credit where credit's due. A lot of colours, but they all seem to go together pretty well. Across the line for Mark Wyness, and it is invalidated, but I believe that is Bryn that manages to set a lap, as does Stephen Bramwell. No, Cormac Patterson sets a lap as well. So first few times coming across, and at the moment at the top, very solid time. Although you'd expect probably a second to be found on top of that going forwards.
Just keeping an eye on the chat to see that Tony Logie, if he's able to make it in. He's got another 3 minutes in which he can join the session again. He's got the invite pending, so he should be okay to jump in. But I mean, that's so frustrating, isn't it? I mean, imagine your internet going down on the verge of you taking part in a championship contending race.
Yeah, you'd rather be in Tony Logie's situation than, say, Cameron Evans, where you're at the top, you've got the buffer, but it's still frustrating. Just to clarify at the moment, Tony Logie leads on 183, Cameron Evans on 156. So Cameron's still in the hunt, remember, 25 points for a win, so 50 still on the table. Josh McNabb, in theory, also still in contention if he was to win both, because he is currently 49 points back with 50 on the table. So possibly doable, but Evans is the only real challenger from this point.
Well said, that man. Right, let's go and see who else we've got, because Josh McNabb currently fastest out of anyone on the track, and this man is a young demon. He is going to be one to watch, maybe not like that. 1:15.695 at the moment, and then it is that's Mr. Bramwell, isn't it? Stephen Bramwell, 1:16.977, second place, and he's really struggled with some pace. So yeah, it's not really happened there. Mr. Logie, I am not able to send you an invite while I'm in the game, I don't believe. Let's go and have a little look here. We will, excuse me just a second, because I'm sure it doesn't actually let you do it. Yeah, invite to game. So unfortunately, the invites don't let you send it while you're in the game, my friend. So if you're not able to get the one you've already been sent, I'm afraid that is going to be out of the equation. Stu, the way that it's worked on this one is because we had the 7, we had 3 drivers invited, so we invite everyone in, and what happens is that if there is space left to go, then we can obviously bring you in, but drivers can accept the invite after we start the session. So we might have 7 drivers jump in, but we might have another couple come in after that, so we can't then bring you guys in and risk having, say, like 12 cars in, and that ruins the spot for everyone. The issue is with that as well is the fact that it's only when the connection is happening as well, Stu. So what I would check is that the connection is running fine, because as I say, we've had 17 or 16 other cars that are able to take part in the race, and the problem is with Ian Mingus and your connection as well. And it's always on Microsoft, Tom, isn't it? It's always on Microsoft that we have these issues.
It is, and that's, like you said, why we have the reduced grids. We saw incidents at, I believe it was Silverstone National as well, where cars were making contact with each other, but the drivers weren't aware that that was happening, because on their individual screens they had a few centimetres between them, and that's the exact sort of situation we're trying to avoid by having this reduced grid. So the cost of that is also that if you don't get in, there is limited space and you might not get the invite come the last one, but on the upside, if you are in, you get a fair shot at the race, which I think is more important. That's why we've taken the stance that we have.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that it's all about trying to be as fair as we possibly can, because I mean you're kind of damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If you automatically, and we went through that for the first couple of races, we were automatically trying to bring in people after their heats had done. If they're not able to make it or they missed it or whatever, we would try and bring them in later on. And then we realised with the Xboxes, we've got somebody disappearing there from 7th place there. Let's have a look who that was that's just disappeared. That's Bryn. No, it's not Bryn Hawkins. We did have 7, but somebody has disappeared.
I believe it's Andrew McKinley.
Oh, that's an unusual one.
And he's pretty well placed in the championship at the moment as well. He's 7th with a few guys right around him. Aidan Wilson only 2 points back. Further 10 from that, Cormac Patterson, and Bryn Hawkins only a few up the road as well. So that could have big implications for Andrew McKinley.
And Andrew Gilman not able to do qualifying.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Bryn Hawkins hit it very sideways.
Oh, some lap. Right, how's that gone down to 1:50 left to go in the session? Josh McNabb, though, coming into the final chicane here. He is like blisteringly fast. It's been 1:15. Could he do it? Could he break into the 1:14s?
He's going to try. A 1:15.2, I think, is the fastest we've seen tonight. So already very good, but 2 tenths more and you'd be in a whole class of your own. Because at the moment, we're looking at probably just under a tenth separating the overall times from this evening across the various heats. But if he can just improve a little bit, then congratulations, you are definitively the best on one lap pace in the leagues.
Yeah, and it's a difficult one because, I mean, Josh has had quite a troubled season early on. The start of it was really difficult for him because he's fast, but he was getting caught up in other people's accidents, and you know, he feels through the early part of the season that some of it was a little bit unfair, and he's got a massive fan base behind him. His dad, Stevie McNabb, is a bit of a legend up at Knockhill and through Scottish motorsport as well, and you know, you get to hang out with him, and I've got the privilege of being in a group chat with him and Josh and some of the other guys as well, and they get so passionate, and I love that, and I love that I get a group chat with some of the other folk as well, and they're all so passionate. They get so like behind this championship. It's just brilliant to see.
Yeah, it is really inspiring, put simply, as to how much these guys care about this, put simply. You get other kind of esports, and often a lot in F1 as well, where people come and compete and they want to have fun, but they don't really put their heart into it. Whereas here, people are doing that. They're putting tons and tons of effort into learning the tracks, learning the cars, and you see that in the driving. That's why we have such good action here in the SMRC Summer Esports Championship, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
So then, there we go. The session is coming to an end. Josh McNabb's still on a lap. Who's it got in front of him? Because they are very fast.
I believe that is Bryn Hawkins in the orange car.
And that's going to be a heck of a tow for Josh, so this could be it. This could be a 114 right here.
Yeah, solid exit from Coppice, uses all of the road, and then tucks in behind, of course, the other Ginetta just up ahead, flashing the lights, trying to get Bryn out the way before they reach the chicane, because he thinks he can brake just that much later, and will he have been held up into the braking zone? It looks smooth, it looks good, it looks sideways from Josh McNabb. That'll be the time. Surely we won't see a 114 on this time around.
Oh!
It's 151, and that sideways action probably did actually cost us the opportunity to see a 114, and he'll know that. He'll be frustrated, but you can't be too annoyed when you're a second quicker than the field and on pole position.
Wow, that is an amazing lap from Josh McNabb. Take about that, man. Confirmation that Andrew McKinley has disconnected from the session, and of course, because the session has begun, we can't invite him back in, but it's Josh McNabb on pole position alongside Bryn Hawkins for the final race of the evening. Cormac Patterson does a cracking lap there, 1:16.402, and he's in contention, third place alongside Stephen Bramwell. It's then Mark Innes with Andrew Gilman, 5th and 6th. Let's go racing for the final time tonight. Tom, what are you expecting to see in this race?
Well, I'm expecting to see Josh McNabb
all the pressure
lead away from the line. That's what I reckon is going to happen. But in terms of who else is going to qualify, I think it's going to be very, very tightly fought for that third position.
The engine notes rise for the final time tonight, and we're away at Donington Park in a stunning start for Josh McNabb. He absolutely lights the car up, and he is away ahead of Bryn Hawkins. But Bryn Hawkins has got Cormac Patterson on his inside in towards Redgate for turn 1. It's looking very, very close, but I think Bryn Hawkins is just going to have that one, and that is also Stephen Bramwell trying to hook on to the end of Cormac Patterson as well.
Yeah, Mark Winus is in that fight as well. Bramwell has the red roof, Winus the blue roof. That's how you tell the difference between those cars. So they come down towards the old hairpin for the first time of asking. It was a bad start for Andrew Gilman. We didn't see him in qualifying because he had a ban, and he's not managed to make up any places early on, which is the best time to do it. But there you go, the red roof and the blue roof side by side. This is the move we talked about through Schwartz. They touch a little bit, and it's straight on. Just no sign of stopping from Mark Winus, and to be honest, that's probably any hope of qualification gone with it as he goes for a trip at the beach. Gilman has also managed to get past that other car of Stephen Bramwell. Gilman's now only one away from qualification as Agent Zigzag. Cormac Patterson looks to challenge for second.
Yeah, just an update on that one. I think what's happened here is Stephen Bramwell's come into contact with Mark there, put him onto the grass, and there's just no brakes. He couldn't slow down at all, and he's been sent off into the gravel. I think the Clark, of course, is going to be very, very interested in that one.
Yeah, it's certainly going to get looked at, and we cannot see it. It all happened so quickly that we simply can't make a verdict without seeing replays. Gilman getting a little bit sideways though through Redgate, and then they come through Hollywood down into the Craner Curves. We got 3 cars just behind first position, but of course only 2 of them are going to get to qualify. The question is, which 2? A little bit defensive from Bryn Hawkins through the old hairpin, and actually runs it too far, doing the exact same thing that we saw in previous heats. Oversteers all the way across the other side of the road. Wheel on the outside on the dirt. We're on board here with Cormac Patterson as they dive down the inside into the right-hander. It's not quite available. Bryn somehow holding on around the outside, and now they're into Coppice. Is an opportunity going to present itself. It's a little bit deep from Hawkins. That'll give Agent Zigzag Patterson. He's got the run. The man, the myth, the legend tucks into the slipstream. Gilman behind flashing the lights. Patterson now flashing the lights. Has the run, has the overlap, has the inside, and should have the place, but this contact, huge contact. You could not have seen a bigger knock than that. Just turning in, Bryn just turned in, clipped the back as was inevitable to happen, and suddenly Patterson's all the way down in 5th. Now, we know that Patterson's got the pace and definitely is quicker than a few of those cars, so it's not all over for the man in yellow, but he will be frustrated.
Oh!
There's a car in the air, bonnets are everywhere, pieces of car simply shard all over the track. Is that Bryn? That is Bryn, right? That's just been completely demolished on the track. I have no other way of saying that. It looks like the car just drove over a trampoline. It was flicked up into the air, and I genuinely have no idea how that's happened. Of course, damage is only cosmetic, so despite looking as if Bryn is now driving a banger racer, it is still possible to get up there, but there's a lot of work to do after they got sent into orbit in that incident.
I'm dead. I'm done after that one. My God, right? I'm gonna have to say it. Karma. That's it's come around from that last corner incident, and Bryn Hawkin. Yeah, that's not really worked out, has it? My goodness me. It's now a straight up battle because Cormac Patterson fighting out again. How on earth has Stephen Bramwell gotten up to 3rd place?
By being sensible. He got involved in that incident but is recovered and then allowed the cars in front to get involved with each other. But McNabb at the moment is absolutely laughing. He's so far away.
Are you kidding me? Look at Tom, look at that lap. 1:15.5. That is just absurd. 6 seconds of a gap over 2nd place in 4 laps.
It's godlike. Let's put it simply. Yeah. That is very, very impressive. The action on track, however, still Cormac Patterson, and he's going to get the opportunity to find a way through on Bramwell. Bramwell doing what we've seen time and time again, lifts a wheel up onto the dirt on the exit of the old hairpin, and that puts Cormac Patterson up into 3rd position. Will he try and push for Gilman? I think he's got the pace to get past Andrew, and I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for it just as a kind of message in the sand.
I think that's exactly what's going to happen here. Let's go on board with Cormac Patterson then, just down the road, 2 seconds behind Andrew Gilman. I'm just stunned by this young lad though. Josh McNabb across the line again. What's he going to do this time by 1:16 flat?
McNabb is lapping as fast as people are trying to lap in qualifying, and he's doing it with more fuel on board, tyres that are warmer, and the pressure of making sure that you don't go off the road because it really matters. And crucially, McNabb's just not showing any sign of being near the edge of the road. Hits the apex perfectly on the 5th time of asking down the corner curves, and because you're setting those kind of lap times, you know that he's been doing that every single time, and it is absolutely devastating to the rivals. Gilman is one of those, but he's still just about hanging on to 2nd place with Cormac Patterson behind. But crucially, if Gilman could just stay ahead of one of these 2 chasing cars, they will qualify, and I think that'll be a huge win for Andrew.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's been a fantastic event so far. Oh, and a huge moment for Andrew Gilman, who loses it on his own accord on the exit of McLean's, and that throws him back into the clutches of Mark Guinness, excuse me, inclining skate. Anyway, goes through into 4th place, and Stephen Bramwell into qualifying position.
I've got my head in my hands. Unbelievable. That's big as well. That is very big, because Andrew Gilman, quite a long way off the guys ahead in the championship, but it's only 1 back to Bryn Hawkins, who's obviously not going to qualify this time around. But still, they're not out the clips of the like of Andrew McKinley, Aidan Wilson as well. So that could come back to haunt. And at the moment, that's the car, the damage-stricken car just behind of Bryn. So they might yet manage to pass Gilman on track, even if they don't get it in the championship quite yet.
this I just don't feel good about this at all. You just get that horrible feeling in your gut, don't you?
You do. You know that something's going to happen. At the moment, it's the blue car running wide. Yet another mistake, and it's all the way around from Mark Winans. He says hello, gives a little bit of a love tap to the barrier.
And that's it. Good night, Vienna.
And he's off. He's had enough. And to be honest, I too would have had enough after all that's happened. We started off with 7. Only 4.5 remain when you take into account the damage on the 5th place car of Bryn Hawkins. Question is, will anybody else make mistakes? At the rate that it's been happening, it's very possible, but we wouldn't be expecting the current leader, Josh McNabb, to. That's a huge gap. 9.5 seconds. Now, obviously, there's the advantage of not being involved in any of the shenanigans that's happened behind, but still an absolutely remarkable performance for Josh McNabb.
Tom, I've got to be honest, I've not seen a rage quit like that since me back in the day on Pro Evo on the PS2. That's one of those. Oh no! That's Cormac Patterson has a big moment on the exit of turn 1, and these tyres are obviously going off. The rear tyres are just having said enough, and they're out of there. That's exactly what happened to Mark Innes there. Mark Winans just lost it and went straight into the wall. And you know when the console disconnects like that, that is a what we call in the business a rage quit. That's when the desk gets slammed and lots of swear words come out.
Yeah, controllers get broken in that situation, but it is worth noting that it reveals that potentially these guys in various heats are using the 2 setups available. The loose setup is loose because it moves the weight towards the rear of the car, so it's the rear tyres that go off. The stable setup makes it stable because it centralises that centre of mass, as you would guess from the name, and in doing so you put more of the weight on the front, so that's suddenly the tyre that gets all of the taxing worked on it. So the fact that these guys are losing the rear would imply they're using that loose setup. And come the finals, it's going to be interesting to see how these 2 setups compare to each other.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point there as we come down in towards the final lap then. Josh McNabb has just been... I'm struggling for words at this. That's been almost every lap that he's done a 1:15. Every single lap has been a pole lap from this young man. Incredible pace, and he is really on the edge right now. Back to Cormac Patterson though, just ahead of Stephen Bramwell. Stephen Bramwell fighting for this, and I don't know why, because the pair of them have qualified. They don't need to be doing this, and you get a little bit of a feeling it's going to be tears before bedtime with these 2.
Yeah, Bramwell actually potentially cost himself the chance at 2nd place there, looking for a move that wasn't on into the old hairpin. He lost exit speed, he's lost time, and now if he wants to move, he's got to try something very special. But someone who's been special the whole race, Josh McNabb, take a bow, young man. Breaks into the final chicane, gets it spot on perfect as he has every single lap of the race. He's going to come across the line 14 seconds ahead of his rivals. And I have never seen anything as dominant as that as in this championship.
Yep. Well
done, Josh McNabb.
Absolutely echo those words there. 13 seconds ahead of the fight here. But look at this. What a battle for 2nd and 3rd place for Cormac Patterson and Stephen Bramwell. It's going to be 4th place for Andrew Gilman, and then Bryn Hawkins rounding out the field in 5th place there. Confirmation that Mark Winans has left the building. Tom, what an evening of racing.
What an evening. We had it all. We had championship leaders running off the road in Kenneth Brewster, which we've almost forgotten about because it was so long ago. Tight battles for the lead. Contact. We had a car coming across the line with about a third of the original bodywork on it. You say it, we had it here this evening, and it truly has been an absolute thrill to commentate over.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. It's awesome to hear your dulcet tones back with us here on the SMRC eSports Racing Summer Championship. And, we come to the tail end of the championship. It's been an awesome ride so far.
It has been very good, and it's no surprise that the guys who have been consistent are the ones leading the way. Kenneth Brewster, and Tony Logie at the top of the standings. Tony might get closed in this time around, but he'll still have the lead going into the final round, if my calculations are correct. So those guys, they're just doing well on their bad days as well. And we said at the start, consistency is key, and we were spot on.
Yeah. A great point. Thank you very much for your company tonight, Tom, and we shall see you next week for not next week, sorry, a couple of weeks' time for our final race at Bathurst. But from myself, Dave Christie, and from Tom Davis, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Join us tomorrow night for the iRacing Championship as well, where we head to our second final round, where we head off to Italy, and then join us again on Sunday for the finals again at Donington. In the meantime, have a wonderful week, and we'll see you on Sunday.